And maybe, in the future, he won't be babysitting anymore. It sounds like him and his daughter have a lot that they need to work out together. Because it's hard to forgive somebody for something like that, even if it is an accident. It's hard to get that out of your mind at least. But hopefully they figured it out.
I don't know how the relationship is, but I would hope they'd eventually be fine considering the kid is there.
Well, she hasn't bailed him out yet, so if that's an indication,
There might be a little problem. Maybe they'll work it out over Thanksgiving, Christmas dinners or something like that, depending on what they celebrate. You've got multiple siblings. I've got 4 older siblings and I was left in their care many times because I'm the youngest. And I was done wrong. Mom, I was done wrong. You shouldn't have left me with them. These types of situations usually happen among siblings. Say the 14-year-old oldest sister babysitting the 5-year-old little brother. Sometimes fireworks happen. Does that happen in your family? Were you like the oldest?
No, my family was very much like, like brown families, like the whole community raises you kind of thing. So we were never, my brothers and I were all pretty close in age. So it was never a situation where any of us was babysitting the other one, but we always had aunts. My grandfather was always around. He's still around, so we were never really on our own ever at any point when we were kids. There was always somebody there. So my childhood, I feel like we were very well watched and well taken care of, thank God. But but things still happen. I busted. There was like a 5-minute period one time when I was alone by myself, and I busted my lip, and I still have a scar from the inside. And I just had to wait for my dad to get back.
Wait, well, who was in charge though? Grandpa?
No, nobody was in charge. It was literally like the adults were shifting, and there was like 5 minutes in between where I was just by myself, and it was within those 5 minutes I was like swinging myself on the wall, and then I fell, and then my tooth went into my bottom lip, and I still have a scar from it. So I was never left alone again.
I got scars. I can't even remember where they came from. The amount of times that I've done things like that to myself when no one was watching. In fact, when people were watching, I still did those things to myself. Let's keep it real. Anyways, thank you guys. Another Friday edition of The Watch List. Thank you, Yas, for being here with us. Check her out on Rebel HQ. You can find all of our wonderful content there. So thank you for being here with us. Please get better. Get over that whole thing. Rest this weekend.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a nap. Thank you guys also for being here with us. Up next, you got John Iadarola with the Damage Report. Go check him out. We'll see you guys on Monday for another fresh new week on The Watch List. See you later.
Welcome everyone to the Friday edition of The Damage Report with me, John Iadarola, and joining us almost at the last minute, and being very nice and being able to do so, Ben Gleib is back on the show. Ben, how's it going?
Very good. How are you, John?
I'm feeling good. It's a Friday. I'm looking forward to our show. I know that I've got Cenk and Ida Rodriguez on the Young Turks later on, and then it's the weekend. I'm gonna be spending the weekend playing a bunch of board games like an absolute dork. So I'm feeling good. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm gonna spend the weekend doing a bunch of shows like an absolute workaholic and not relaxing playing games like a dork, which I wish I was. Yeah.
Where are these shows?
I'm performing tonight at the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach, and tomorrow night at Don't Tell Comedy. And then I'm doing a virtual show worldwide on the 29th. In a couple weekends, my third annual Halloween special. It's Gleib off the top, Halloween Spectacular. I hope I didn't scare you with that boo there. Where you can get tickets to that from anywhere in the world and join me live from your computer at bengleib.com. And my special is still out if you like stand-up comedy that is pre-recorded, but way better than the risks of a live show. The Mad King is available right now on YouTube. Even dogs love it.
Wait, who's this dog?
This is Henry Horse, the greatest dog in the world. He's a news dog and he's got opinions on all the news. What do you think about the Jan 6 committee hearings? Yeah.
He looks away. He's not into it. He's focused on inflation and reproductive rights. I don't think he cares too much about that.
That's right.
Anyway, that's awesome. Well, everyone, there are some dates coming up. If you're in the area, go see it live. But if you can't see him live, you got no excuse. There's awesome pre-recorded stuff available worldwide. As long as you're in a country that's allowing you to access the internet, I suppose, which is most of them.
Yep.
Anyway, we have a lot.
To get my special in Iran today, unfortunately. So
it is, unfortunately. That's one of the biggest struggles facing them as of right now. So we have a lot that we're gonna be talking about, and we'll get into that in just a sec. Someone in the chat did just let me know, and I see people talking about it on Twitch. This sucks. Robbie Coltrane passed. He was 72 years old. Most notably, I think for a lot of American viewers, he played Rubeus Hagrid in the Harry Potter movies, but he was also in GoldenEye, a million other things and everything. That's sad. We were 72. That's not enough, Ben. I think we can agree on that. We were talking before the show about how old we'd be comfortable living to, like as a minimum. And 72 is not enough, I don't think.
Yeah, I said 90 as a minimum. You said 78. I'm stunned by how low that number was.
Well, it might be that you anticipate living to 90. I don't anticipate living to 78, so it's quite aspirational.
Oh, wow. I anticipate living to 104, so that's wild. You don't anticipate.
Good luck.
Be playing some pretty hardcore board games over there.
They are, okay? When you play these games, you win or you die or something. Anyway, we have a lot of non-sad Rubeus Hagrid related news that we're gonna be talking about. So everyone, I'm gonna need you to buckle securely up, hit the like button, share the stream if you want. You can send us comments and all that, and we'll respond as we go. But with all that said, Ben, you ready to start the show?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. In fact, let's jump directly into this.
I am offering this resolution that the committee direct the chairman to issue a subpoena for relevant documents and testimony under oath from Donald John Trump in connection with the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol.
Mr. Chairman, on this vote, there are 9 ayes and 0 noes.
The resolution is agreed to.
So with that, the resolution was agreed to. They are gonna be subpoenaing Donald Trump to cooperate with and testify before the January 6th committee. Now, will he actually do that? That's a different question. Should he actually do that? That's a far spicier question, I think. And we're gonna dive into all of that, but you should know that we won't necessarily know for a little bit exactly how this is gonna go. They're drafting the paperwork. Then there's gonna be a period of time where he has to respond. And if he doesn't choose to cooperate, then the actual appeal on that could take literally months, which isn't just like frustrating because you'd have to wait for it. it's way worse than that. If he decides not to do it, and if they drag out the appeals process until December, January, February, that's the same exact thing as dragging it out for 100 years, because there's a very real chance that the Democrats won't be in control anymore. The January 6th committee won't exist anymore. And then Trump wouldn't have to do it if he doesn't want to. So with that as the backdrop, what do we know so far about Donald Trump's interest or willingness to actually engage in this? Well, he clearly hates the committee. He's been clear about that for months before it even existed. So that's true. But he has been telling aides, at least, that he would look forward to testifying before the committee so he could probably spout a bunch of conspiratorial nonsense. But that doesn't mean that he actually will do it. Bragging to aides about how you take on Liz Cheney is different than actually sitting down, being sworn in, and risking perjury as you're asked questions about what you did and didn't do, what you said and didn't say. And so while this morning he put out this statement, you can see a shot of the top of it. He's titled his memo to Benny Thompson, "Peacefully and Patriotically." And the first line of what the former president of the United States sent to them is, "The presidential election of 2020 was rigged and stolen." And it only gets more conspiratorial from there. He literally at one point blames black voters in urban areas for stealing the election from him, amongst a lot of other nonsense. And so he does say at the end of it, "At your request, I will present these additional numbers to you," saying that he would do it maybe, but theoretically only live, and only so he could say like something that he saw in 2000 Mules or something. So Ben, what do you think? Is this gonna happen? Should he actually do it?
Well, I admire several things in this statement. One, the fact that he is saying out loud yet again what the Republican Party has said in their actions for so long. They blame African American voters for voting, not for them. What a crime against this country that is, voting in their own interest and not voting in the interest of people trying to literally take away their vote. How wild. Secondly, you did point out accurately, John, that he does not like this committee or believe in it, but still might testify before it, which tracks for Donald Trump because he also clearly does not like or respect America. But that doesn't mean he doesn't want to speak in front of it all the time either. The man will take any audience, whether hostile or not, whether a place that cares for him or not, as long as he gets a little more airtime. I think I even thought of a solution this morning that might be the perfect ending for Donald Trump is put him on Celebrity Big Brother, give him a 24-hour camera, but have that season of Celebrity Big Brother take place from inside a jail. Everybody wins.
I'd tune in, at least I'll give any show one episode, basically. Yeah, look, my guess would be that after this very carefully constructed set of hearings, I don't think they would want him to testify live, because that would be, well, I can't express with the language restrictions we're under what that would be like, but you get the idea. It would be wild, we'll say that. And if they would, what's that?
Well, sorry to interrupt, but I just found it to be such a strange move that they did this right at the very end of all of their hearings, because it just kind of gives Trump power again at the end to like control the narrative of a thing they've carefully constructed. I mean, literally at the end of their supposedly last live hearing, they're like, but we might do one more where we invite the guy who we're accusing to come and lie to all of you and turn it into a circus live on the air. It just seems really strange. Obviously, if he does come, he's going to lie, and it now brings up whether they can end the whole committee before the midterms, or before the Congress switches over, at least like they intend. And so it just seems a very strange move, and I don't know what their exact goal is here.
Yeah, my assumption would be they'd want it to be behind closed doors so that the craziest of the lies they wouldn't have to actually have broadcast live. But it's an opportunity where we know that Donald Trump, when he sits down, while he's good at communicating, not in terms of making sense or being sane or not being the worst, he's usually good at telling the right what they want to hear. When you are under oath, he's going to commit crimes. He's going to commit perjury. I mean, remember, as I pointed out in our coverage yesterday, sitting down with Chris Matthews got him to say, I would punish the woman for having an abortion. And Lester Holt got him to say, yeah, no, I fired Comey for the Russia thing. And who was the journalist that got him to admit that he did consider COVID to be super serious, but he needed to say that he doesn't? Like, when that dude sits down, he just says stuff. And often not under, penalty of jail time. And so they might be able to wrap this thing up just getting him to admit to stuff live in the committee.
Also, how are they going to get him to? How are they going to get him to agree and not have it be live? They even said in their statement, this all points to him. The American people deserve to hear directly from him. To then say, but we're going to tape it and only show you the parts we like, seems antithetical to hearing directly from him. And you're right, he does say things live, but I don't think he's afraid of saying something wrong and there being any consequences. He's done it his whole life. He called BS on the Constitution and he was right. Thus far, he's right because he has not been held to account. I'm surprised his legal team hasn't literally pulled out also President Trump hasn't used his get out of jail free card yet. And nowhere in Monopoly does it say this can't be used as a legal card.
That's a good point. I'm gonna check the rules this weekend as I'm playing board games. But
I've looked.
There you go. So we'll see. We'll find out. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll at least know if it's going to happen. Are they trying to sneak this in before the midterms? That could be risky. We'll have to see. But that wasn't the only thing that was revealed during the last January 6th committee. We also had a little bit of spicy footage, and we're not gonna show you a bunch. We did live coverage at the time, but there was one moment that I felt like we had to briefly talk about, and it involved Nancy Pelosi. Take a look.
And that's what this is all about.
Secret Service said they have dissuaded him from coming to Capitol Hill. They told him they don't have the resources to protect him here. So at the moment he is not coming, but that could change.
Oh, he comes, I'm gonna punch him out. This is my mom.
I would pay to see
I've
that.
been waiting for this, for trespassing on the Capitol grounds. I'm gonna punch him out, I'm gonna go to jail, and I'm gonna be happy.
Yes, I think that's the most aggressive I've ever seen Nancy Pelosi. That was, of course, as the buildings were being stormed, as Nancy Pelosi and a lot of other people in Congress were probably at least somewhat worried about the possibility that they might be ripped limb from limb by an insane fascist mob. And acknowledging that she is being filmed, and she knows that, and she does, she thinks about how things look. She loves her little moments and stuff like that. That said, hearing her talk about punching him in the face is not usually the way we hear Nancy Pelosi talk, Ben. What do you think?
Yeah, I loved how she turned to the camera after that and said, and I will go to jail. Acknowledging, I know I'm being filmed and I know it's illegal. There was no camera here. I wouldn't necessarily admit to the jail part. I wish she seemed more intimidated during it. Like that footage is stark and pretty strange, but also I don't know that it really helps the case. I don't feel like she and Chuck Schumer seemed, that's hard to say fast, seemed particularly scared for their lives. They seemed more like they were on the phone trying to, figure out what they can do to stop the thing. And also, I don't know plausibly how it would have worked. They were afraid to go out of their offices, but if Trump showed up, Nancy would have stormed through the Viking and the people smearing feces on the walls to get to Trump and knock him in the face. I'd love it, but it seems a little too end of a 90s romantic comedy for me to have plausibly happened in life. But I would pay to see it. I mean, that's a pay-per-view post, both of them being in public office that would make huge money for charity.
So I do want to use this as an opportunity. I understand there are some people, maybe big fans of Nancy Pelosi, they'll be like, yeah. And I, to some extent, get it. Trump is the worst. We hate what he does, and we particularly hate January 6th. But I will remind you, there's some amazing write-ups of what she actually did following January 6th. So there she's saying, I will go to jail for slugging him in the face. But what did Nancy Pelosi actually do? There were people who, as she's filming that, there are people who are already working on impeachment resolutions. We now know. I think Ryan Grimm had a write-up on The Intercept about the actual timeline there. And they wanted to expedite this. And Nancy Pelosi didn't let them. She had them go on their little break for several days. And that may not seem relevant. I mean, after all, at the end of the day, he was actually impeached. But of course, he was not convicted in the Senate. And maybe he was never going to be. But we also know that people like Mitch McConnell and those were coming out in the immediate aftermath of January 6th saying, this was Donald Trump, he has responsibility. And notably, they didn't have an opportunity to vote on convicting him then. It had to wait days and days and days and days. And during that time, the right sort of banded together. And while initially they were like, oh God, have we crossed some sort of horrible line? Is our base gonna turn against us for literally trying to kill Mike Pence and overturn democracy? It only took a few days for them to realize, no, actually the base is perfectly fine with that. The only frustration they have is that it didn't succeed. And so Nancy Pelosi can talk about punching him day of for a video that maybe she planned to put out, although admittedly it took until now for it to come out. But behind the scenes, she used her power as speaker to stop immediate consequences from rolling forward. And so I find that very frustrating.
Yeah, why? Why would she have done that? It's just, again, like you're saying, it just shows political theater. It shows that these people are, to some degree, kind of in cahoots with each other. They're playing a game. Oh, Trump's playing his game. Let's get cameras rolling down below. But when there's a chance to actually hold him to account, let's not do it immediately when they know exactly how cowardly the Republicans are. And if they have one moment of them being against Trump, if you don't capitalize on it now, of course, in a couple of days, they're gonna be changing their tune. I mean, McCarthy was already en route to Mar-a-Lago at that point to pose for a photo.
Yeah, look, they have said, or it's come out, that their strategy was let's slow down on impeachment and let's just cross our fingers and hope that they use the 25th Amendment.
Come on.
That was their strategy.
Trump's own team.
It didn't happen.
Trump's own team. The only way they would have invoked the 25th Amendment would have been if the 25th Amendment comes free with every book deal. Then maybe.
Maybe that is what they were focusing on at that point.
Okay, can't invoke the 25th Amendment. There will be no exciting spoilers to save, no surprise twists, M. Night Shyamalan style for our tell-all books. The country's crumbling, but my God, do I want to keep the real nuggets of how I was sure he was unhinged and dangerous to our country for when my book comes out, so I can tease those nuggets on Bill Maher and on Fox News and get and even all on all the liberal media and get them to be like, wow, it's true. It is true. He was crazy, and now you're on our team, even though you had an obligation to save us then. But we get book sales. We get it.
Yeah. There's one other little minor bit of news I just want to make sure that we cover, just because it's so ridiculous. Donald Trump is, of course, feeling pressure from a number of different legal challenges. One of them is in New York, where the AG is pressuring him over a variety of forms of fraud. And we know that she's coming for a lot of money, literally hundreds of millions of dollars, as well as shutting down the Trump organization. Well, Donald Trump has a little plan, a little backup plan, maybe in case that happens. He's got a whole new thing. He's moving on. He doesn't care about the Trump organization. He's got something he likes more. We call it Trump Organization 2. He started a new company, and that's what it's called. It was registered on September 21st, the very day that Letitia James filed a 220-page fraud lawsuit against Trump, his family, and the original busted old Trump organization. On Thursday, James' office fought back against this move, filing court papers that ask a Manhattan judge to bar him for moving any assets from the Trump Organization to the Trump Organization 2 so that they'd be protected from the $250 million judgment that she wants against him. And they're also asking for the lawyer to appoint an independent monitor to oversee the Trump Organization so that if they do anything tricky with moving money or hiding money or whatever, they can potentially see that. And they want to, it's described as quickly by Insider, hold a hearing to set a trial date for early October 2023, as well as serve Trump with a copy of the lawsuit, which currently Eric Trump has refused to accept. Because this is what you can do when you're rich. Like, you're facing a $250 million lawsuit. You just don't have to take it, I guess. Isn't that weird? If you committed a petty crime, like if the cop comes up to you, I don't even hear you. I don't even see you really. Like, no, you're allowed to do that when you're rich. But anyway, yeah, I will remind you, they're aiming for October 2023. This would be like far into the Republican primary at that point. If he chooses to run, you can't move it along faster there. But anyway, Ben, what do you think about Trump Organization 2? They really are rebooting everything these days, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Trump Organization 2, this time it's personal. You would hope that they would have been smart enough instead, or not hope, I guess, to instead of doing a sequel, they should have really done a prequel and changed the narrative. Oh, you go back in time. That's how you can avoid committing the crimes in the first place. But they're not interested in that. They just want to be able to paper it over with Trump Organization 2, which they also started a new offshoot, Trump Organization LLC, just 1 week before that. And then an offshoot of that was on the 21st, Trump Organization 2. So they have basically 2 new organizations now. I think that's what the world needs. More and more Trump-filled organizations. Just putting money under each of them like a shell game and switching them around like the Times Square hucksters they actually are, now just going full on shell under the cup for all of us to see. But surprisingly, they're not okay with someone looking at making sure they don't put funds illegally in that company. This is a totally legit company. Wait, you're gonna look? The point is, can someone start Organization 3?
Just in case. Yeah, no, the lawyers, as Ben is pointing out, they have said that none of this legal stuff is necessary. You don't need this special monitor. You don't need to look into that. And here's why. Lena Haba says, we have repeatedly provided assurance in writing that the Trump Organization has no intention of doing anything improper. Oh, in that case. No, but do you see the tricky thing that she's doing there? The Trump Organization won't do anything improper. But what about the Trump Organization 2? She doesn't say anything about whether it would ever do anything improper. You're not gonna get us that way, Alina Hava. I see what you're doing.
So that is amazing. That's a very strong point. That's like saying Donald Trump did not head up an insurrection against the company. Former President Donald Trump did, but that's semantics. It's pretty wild. That is pretty wild and a very strong point. Yeah, don't look over here, look over there. They're literally magicians, but they're like a very cheap magic shop magician who's like, look, can I just get you to buy the string thing that makes your card float or not? I gotta be somewhere, kid. I got alimony payment.
Yeah. Wow, you can do some fast world building there. Anyway, we're gonna take our first break of the hour, but when we come back, Senator Ron Johnson is trying to fend off a challenge from Mandela Barnes in the Wisconsin Senate race. We're gonna give you some of the highlights and lowlights from their debate after this. Okay, everybody, let's see what's going on out there. First of all, you can look forward to immediately after our program, Indisputable. Jessica Burbank is gonna be hosting, joined by Rick Strom. Have we ever had that combination before? That's exciting. Everyone definitely tune in to Indisputable to see how that goes. In the members' comments, Scented Kerfuffle says, OMFG, if the previous president does testify, I'm gonna buy 10 gallons of popcorn. But okay, so look, I'll be watching too, and we'll definitely be doing live coverage. But he's gonna just be lying and saying insane things, and he's gonna make up nicknames for people. And we already had a deal with McMuffin and Coco Chow. I can't take any more of it.
Yeah, the biggest hope there is that they've got like a few extra nuggets just perfectly ready to go, that they can pin him live with follow-ups and follow-ups where they have like a video clip that exactly contradicts what he says, or at least have like ready access to all those clips that contradict whatever he says live. They've done a good job of pointing out all of his double speak and logical inconsistencies. It's my biggest criticism always with all of these interviews and trials and hearings. And so if they're actually able to stick as well as they have been and pin the guy, if you pin someone live, it can be devastating.
Maybe they can. By the way, Apollo Racer says no Rashad Richey. Yes, Rashad is out for today. He's just day off, I guess. Lynn says in members' comments, every time John talks about the likelihood of the Repubs possibly taking over, I wish he would follow with some sort of go vote message. That is a totally fair and good point. I would hope it goes without saying, but why would I leave it up to not saying, yes, everyone should definitely vote. And the voting, of course, should be the bare minimum of what you do to fight back against all this insanity. But you do have to do that, even if you're doing other stuff. Okay. Beef and Izzy says, are they piloting the new TDR Friday lineup with Jessica and Rick? Stop with the coup stuff, okay? We're already dealing with one coup with January 6th. I'm not interested in the TDR coup. Anyway, Paolo says, first of all, is a member, a tier 3 for 8 months on YouTube. Thank you, Paolo. Says, if you think Pelosi was mad then, you're not gonna like her when you take away her ability to profit in the stock market. Exactly. Yeah, it is again convenient to be like, yeah, girl boss gonna punch him in the face when she's like desperately trying to continue to be able to corruptly use her insider information so that she and her husband can profit. And not just her, of course. I mean, tons of these people do it. That's why it needs to end. Elizabeth, tier 3 member for 22 months. Thank you, Elizabeth, for sticking with us. Says, it's astonishing that the Secret Service seemed excited as they were chatting back and forth about Pence's life being in danger. By the way, love you, Johnny Pie. Thank you. I don't know, maybe they're like, maybe they were in fight or flight mode. I can't really put myself in the position that, because remember, if Pence was attacked by a mob, then the Secret Service would be attacked by the mob. I mean, the idea was they would kill his bodyguards and they would then kill him. So I'm sure they were worried too. They had no idea what was coming, but it's a good point. Matt Gates on a white Ford Bronco, thank you for being a member, says, I don't think the 25th Amendment would have been used even if Trump had taken a dump on the rotunda on live Instagram. Oh, anyway, okay, we got 35 seconds. Billy Shea Taylor, hey Billy, how's it going? Says in a super chat, Ben, can you weigh in on a previous discussion? Is 1K too? Okay, we were talking about the price of vasectomies because there's places that are offering them for free. And I was saying that they're not, to me, they're not expensive enough. I feel like for that, it should cost something. Anyway, Billy, thank you for the super chat.
1K sounds very reasonable.
Anyway, we got a lot more comments to get to. Everybody keep them coming. We will respond in our next break. Don't worry about that. But first, we've got more news. We'll be right back. Okay, everybody, let's jump into some fun with the Wisconsin Senate debates, starting with this.
Mr. Barnes, you go first. What do you find admirable about your opponent?
Well, no, seriously, I do think, the senator is proven to be a family man, and I think that's admirable.
Mr. Johnson.
I mean, likewise, I appreciate the fact that Lieutenant Governor Barnes had loving parents, a school teacher, father worked third shift, so he had, good upbringing. I guess what puzzles me about that is with that upbringing, why is he turned against America? I mean, why does he find the founding of America awful? It's
somehow
it puzzles me.
We did not.
I said we said something admirable.
Acknowledging that question is a little bit annoying. They always do it. It's a little bit annoying. We know these people disagree with each other and despise each other. That said, it is sort of the last remaining minimal bar for a little bit of civility in politics, and Mandela Barnes did a great job. I mean, to be fair, Mandela Barnes gave the answer that everyone does. It's always, well, he seems to like his family, I guess. That's like the easiest thing to say, but he said it and he didn't undercut it afterward. Ron Johnson couldn't even pass that bar that is so low, it's buried in Earth's core. He immediately had to turn on Mandela Barnes. And what I like is that the audience wasn't having it. They were booing him, they were laughing. Nobody seemed to like it, Ben. What do you think?
Yeah, Ron Johnson is just an unmitigated piece of garbage. The man is a horrible racist, misogynist. He's against every bit of human rights that we thought was long settled in this country. He's a hypocrite. He contradicts himself constantly. This is one of his more noble moments, which was taking the one noble moment and turning it into a personal attack. At least that personal attack was direct. At least it didn't probably not going to have something coming out later. He actually meant a different personal attack. This is one of the most straight up things Ron Johnson's done, and I commend him strongly for it.
Exactly, total and utter garbage. But while he was mocked there by the crowd, laughed at, it wasn't the only time that he was laughed at or jeered. He weirdly decided to step in, as you'll see in this clip.
In response to the wild charge of Lieutenant Governor Barnes, The FBI set me up with a corrupt briefing and then leaked that to smear me. I am. No, I mean,
I'm sorry.
With the Ron Johnson. So what is he referring to there? It's going to be very abundantly clear to most right wingers because they're part of that right wing insane cinematic universe or whatever. But what he appears to be referring to, and then declares that they are the corrupt ones, is that Johnson was informed at an FBI briefing back in 2020 that he was the target of Russian disinformation as part of a campaign to make him useful to the Kremlin. Understand, it was not the FBI attacking him, implying anything about him. They were saying, oh, by the way, we have reason to believe that they're targeting you. It's like if you were to warn someone that they might be hacked soon. It's a defensive briefing. That's actually what it's called. And he decided when he was told, you are going to be attacked by Russian disinformation, he took a side. And it was the side of the disinformation. And he has declared them to be corrupt, saying that if anything was leaked from there, it was designed just to hurt him. All he had to do was say, thank you for the heads up. I'm gonna be careful about what I share, what I say and all that. And he couldn't even pass that bar. And again, he got laughed at, Ben.
Yeah, this is like in the first Terminator movie when the good dude who ends up impregnating Sarah Connor tries to help her escape from the mental institution, and the Terminator's coming at them, and he says, follow me down the hallway, get down, duck. And she's like, you telling me to duck is disgusting. And it is an attempt to besmirch my character. Oh, I've been shot by the Terminator. I mean, it's the most backwards way to see things, and is par for John Bronson's tiny little brain.
Yeah, it's like, look out behind you. Get off my back, I'm not turning.
I'm gonna fall for the classic move of you trying to protect me as a law enforcement organization from our adversaries. Yeah, I bet Russia's right behind me trying to, whoops, and now he's in jail, Russian jail.
Yeah, we'll see if any of this gets through. I mean, Ron, you started off by saying that Ron Johnson is a piece of garbage, and that is true. And he's such a piece of garbage that at this point, I'm not sure how much extra utility there is in him demonstrating what a piece of garbage he is. I feel like people get that. And so I want to show you the most recent polling, by the way, if we can jump ahead to graphic 4. I have seen polls where Barnes is within the margin of error, down by just a point or whatever, but the aggregate has Johnson up by 2.9. And that is, like, I get that most people are focusing a lot less on this race than like on Pennsylvania or on Georgia. I get it, we're focusing more on those other races. But Johnson is just so obviously bad, so obviously uninterested in any ethical obligations to his constituents or to be a part of a functioning government. He believes and spreads conspiracy theories like crazy. It should not be that close, Ben.
Yeah, it's just insane. It just speaks more again to the political polarization in this country, where for some reason half of the country, look, I realize both sides are certainly polarized and both sides are not inclined to ever think anything positive about the other side or consider candidates from the other side. But I can't help but point out time and again that needs to change when one person is just so clear, one side is so clearly anti-American at the moment, when one side is just so clearly in it for their own selves and for lining their own pockets at the cost of everything decent and good. It shouldn't be just back in mid-September that they were even in the polls. It should be a runaway with goodness. I mean, there are so many people that have left the Republican Party saying this election needs to be blue all the way, regardless of what you believe on any individual issue, to send a message that there will be actual law and order, actual democracy, actual following of our norms. And instead, they'll just take the outlier, self-interested examples and say, well, Tulsi Gabbard left the Democrats. Okay, because she's been a Russian asset and a Republican in her soul for already years now, even when she was running for the Democratic nomination, basically. So let's hope people come to their senses in the privacy of the voting booth and not in front of their family during a dinner poll.
I mean, look, the Democrats put up bad candidates, every cycle. That is true. And some of the worst ways that they're bad candidates is that they could be very blatantly corrupt. I mean, there's any number of Democratic candidates that are very, very corrupt. But in terms of just like being like viciously opposed to government existing, believing and spreading whatever conspiracy theory 4chan comes up with, there is not, as far as I know, a single Democrat that's anywhere like that even is on the scale. And there's hundreds of Republicans at every level. Like there isn't an equivalent. Anyway, I want to just, sorry, real fast.
I know you want to jump, but it's just the big difference is that no one says both sides are not corrupt. They are, but we need to remind everybody that in a corrupt system that needs to be fixed, there is still one side that publicly fights for things that help you, one side that also publicly fights for things that hurt you while being corrupt. Which would you rather have? It's not a great choice, but it still is a clear choice.
Yeah. I want to jump into just a little bit more. They did get into the substance. I mean, a lot of it was fairly comical with Ron Johnson, but let's jump directly into this third video.
Minimum wage has not gone up since 2009. In Wisconsin, our minimum wage is still the federal minimum wage of $7.25. It is shameful. Since 2014, we've been supporting a $15 minimum wage. And for one of the most wealthy members of Congress to sit and say that Congress shouldn't set a standard of living and raising the minimum wage is the frustration that so many people have in this country. Is why people are tuned out of politics because they feel like nobody's looking out for them. And that's because Ron Johnson is in the United States Senate not looking out for us.
So it is one thing for Democrat Mandela Barnes to point out that Ron Johnson is rich and disconnected, doesn't understand regular people's lives, isn't interested in learning about regular people's lives. That's, I think, a good thing for Barnes to focus on. But it's far more effective when Ron Johnson decides to do it for him, pointing out that, regular people are struggling and they do have it harder than people living in a lot of other countries, but he very much does not want to change anything about that, as you'll see in this clip.
What would it take to get you to consider 6 to 12 weeks of paid time off for a mother to recover from childbirth, or even a father and a mother to bond with their child?
Well, again, I realize that benefits are really popular and spending money we don't have and mortgaging our kids' future is pretty popular. But the fact is we don't have the money for this. And if you force it on the private sector, you will start reducing jobs. You could put businesses out of work.
Never forget, they want the government to be able to force you to have a child and then immediately get back to work and just leave the child on a counter or something for 8 to 12 to 16 hours. That is their actual position. They don't care. They don't think it's worth spending literally any money, which we definitely have. Let's be clear about that. We're the richest country that has ever existed. And I will remind you, I know our audience doesn't need to be reminded. If we can jump ahead to graphic 6. Right now, we're at 0 weeks of paid leave. Even the 6 to 12 weeks that the moderator there brought up would still put us at the back of the pack. We bring up this chart and you'll see Estonia gives 86 weeks of paid leave. I understand that the text is small. We're the yellow one at the bottom. Ireland, Switzerland, New Zealand, Australia, they don't give a ton, but every one of these other countries cares enough. And you know what? They've found a way. They've dug through the couch cushions and they've figured out a way to pay for it. Only the United States is uniquely ill-equipped to pay for people to be able to care for and bond with their child for a day or two following birth. Ben, what do you think?
Well, I don't know how the richest nation on earth can be expected to compete with Bulgaria or Latvia or Slovakia's ability to pay for things. They don't even probably have stores with which to pay for stuff. So they've got all the money in the world to be able to pay for maternity leave. Those are countries that probably don't even have money to pay for better PR, so those countries have better public images. They're instead spending it on maternity leave and stuff that their people need instead of public relations. Here in America, we got great PR, and so how can you expect us to have any money left over to pay for the things we need? Have you looked at it from that perspective, John?
I have not. You're opening up my mind right now. If you're watching the Damage Report from Bulgaria, we love you, by the way. And we're very jealous of some of your social policies.
Yeah, they probably are watching because they're home on maternity leave right now taking care of their children.
Which they should be.
Yeah, strong point, John. So what? If you're gonna make strong points, I'll walk off this show right now.
Okay, I will stop now. Let's very briefly move on to our C block. Important news. We're gonna try to fit everything in if we can. If you're a fan of animals, you might want to appreciate them while we've still got them because they are going bye-bye, according to the World Wildlife Fund's most recent Living Planet report, which they say is their most comprehensive study of animal populations to date. They estimate that tens of thousands of monitored mammal, bird, amphibian, reptile, and fish populations have seen an average 69% decline in relative abundance over just a 50-year period. This is confirming basically some of their earlier reports that show that on average, wildlife population sizes are declining at a rate of about 2.5% every year. We'll get to some of the more specific ones. Now, it's important for you to understand that according to them, this does not literally mean exactly that there are 69% less of every animal in the world. Some populations have gone up, a lot have gone down. But overall, it does paint a pretty horrific picture of animal populations. And so they looked at 32,000 different species and they identified some areas, either areas of the animal kingdom or areas of the earth that are particularly hard hit. So they say that 83% freshwater animal populations, that's the largest sort of like animal group, 83% decline. They blame pollution, species exploitation, overfishing, things like that. Regionally, Latin America, home to the Amazon rainforest, of course, has seen the largest average population abundance drop at 94%. And of course, they're looking at a number of different years. Most recently, that's getting far worse because Bolsonaro, of course, is like personally running through the Amazon with tanks of gasoline, setting the entire thing on fire. And so it's likely to get worse. In particular, the pink river dolphin in the Brazilian Amazon plummeted by 65% between 1994 and 2016. That is not to say that there are not animals that are doing better. There are conservation efforts, and some of it has been successful. Populations of the eastern lowland gorilla in the Democratic Republic of the Congos, their populations had fallen by 80% at one point. Now they have raised that population up to 600. Still not a large population, but the efforts they're engaging in have been successful. But we have humanity moving into areas they haven't previously before. There's pollution, there's climate change, there's a lot of threats, and we are seeing the effects every single year around the globe. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, don't worry that 69% on average of vertebrates are declining. So what? First of all, keep in mind there's lots of invertebrates that are doing great. A lot of jellyfish, a lot of amorphous shaped animals that are doing fine. So let's not stop climate change at all. We've got some mushy animals that are on the rise. Don't worry about that. Plus we got 200 extra gorillas of one particular type of gorilla in one type of area. Who cares that most animals on the planet are disappearing? In fact, the fact that it's just an average and we're still at a decline of 69% is so much more dire. It's so much scarier. That means that if it weren't for conservation efforts of us trying it all we can to stop the occasional tractor tearing down a rainforest, which is just insane to do in any respect, or the occasional effort to rehabilitate a species that is on decline, we'd probably be at 80 or 90% across the board of vertebrate species declining and disappearing. The fact that we're pushing back and it's still almost 70% decline is completely devastating. It's bonkers, and obviously with very basic math, unsustainable. That means in about 15, 20 more years, we're gonna be at like 99% decline over that period of time. And we have no more biodiversity on the planet, and probably an insane danger to life on Earth at that point, because we rely on these species and the biodiversity of this planet to give us the resources that we need. And if that doesn't convince you, just the fact that there are pink dolphins that literally exist in rivers on this earth. You can Google the Amazon pink river dolphin, and we're reducing that population just from a we'd like to live in a place that's really cool and trippy standpoint, you gotta stop this destruction of our wildlife habitat.
100%.
Period.
Yeah, I had never seen the pink river dolphin, and admittedly, I've never met a pink river dolphin, but I'm already ready to say I would trade any 10 people for one pink river dolphin.
100%, 100%.
And you're right.
And pink river dolphin for Congress. So that's my big push.
I'm donating the federal maximum. Yeah, it's obviously bad, as Ben was saying, for biodiversity, but also think about like the loss to the next generation. Like they're not gonna see these animals. They're not gonna know these animals. They're not gonna have a chance. Our kids someday might like look at a picture of a dolphin and not be able to identify it, let alone a dolphin fetus, Ben. They just won't be able to identify it on site. Anyway, with that said, we're gonna take our second break of the hour. When we come back, lots more news to get to, so don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm learning now that apparently pink river dolphins are very aggressive. Okay, they eat piranha? Jesus, okay.
Damn.
You'd think they'd be able to defend themselves a little bit better.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, let's see what's going on out there in the audience. We're gonna jump down to Twitch. Talon 305's been here for 29 months, just right there on the cusp of 30 months. Thank you for being with us. Says Trump is just going to delay complying to the subpoena like he always does. There's a good chance, but the dude loves public speaking. And so maybe he'll do it. Maybe if they give him like every once in a while, he can take a little break to do his little dance or something, then maybe he'll come. Live Dragoness has been here for 18 months. Thank you. CJ for 29 months as well. It's a big month for 29 months. Nerdopithecus has been here for 9 months. Thank you. Kruger like Freddy gifted a sub. How nice of you. Tai Chi Chuan Dragon gifted one as well. Thank you. Bookworm Dragon gifted one as well. Look at all the gifting going on over on Twitch. Thank you. AJ Nestor has been here for 28 months. Thank you so much. Cerberus Alpha Gaming for 3 months. Thank you. By the way, I see in the chat who came up with the idea. Okay, Skittlebutt Dragon Rasp says they should tell him it's broadcasting live, but not actually broadcasting it. I had that same thought, but I don't think you legally could do that, and I think he'd figure it out at some point. But that would be hilarious if that's the level of the deception against him.
You can just use Trump level obfuscation of language and say, we are live with the former president, which you are. Anytime you speak to someone, it is taking place live.
Yeah,
you're live.
Yeah. Just broadcast it on a channel nobody watches or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ryan Nowicki sent in a super chat saying, I realize that conservative fears on replacement are not without any merit, but they miss the fact that it's not that more people are coming in, but things like anti-vax practices killing them off. I get what you're saying. So they're being replaced in that they're willingly dying. But again, people are not, overall, jokes aside, people are not replaceable. It's more people. It's not that for every migrant, they take a Jaden and throw them over the border. That's not how that works. So many conspiracies going around. Okay, we have almost 2 minutes, so I definitely have time for this. You need to understand that we are right on the cusp of Unbossed with Nina Turner. This is the last day, the last weekday, where she will not be broadcasting live at Unbossed, and you need to be prepared for the launch come Monday. You can go to youtube.com/unbossedtyt, and Nina Turner is going to be taking it to any number of different topics and breaking down the corruption of politicians. I'm sure she's going to have a lot to say about Nancy Pelosi and her, corruption, trying to maintain the ability to trade individual stocks and all that. It's an exciting time, and you should definitely be ready on Monday, and especially on Tuesday, because I'm going to be joining Nina Turner on Tuesday, so you know it's going to be awesome. Anyway, by the way, I saw a photo that went out of the delivery of the first truckload of water in Jackson. So that's already happened. Thank you to everybody who made that possible by going to tyt.com/relief and donating money there. We are still doing that though. There's still time to donate to help people in Jackson. It's already paying literal watery dividends. And so let's try to keep that going moving forward. Amanda Hobson over on YouTube has been a member for 22 months and says the media blitz against Barnes is terrible. Every 2 commercials. I live in Wisconsin and also get mailers every day. 4-1 is for Mitchell's or Johnson. I have no doubt that he's getting a lot of money spent on him, despite being absolute garbage. Anyway, with that said, more news to, we got 10 seconds? Oh, okay, Sage and Candle, I will definitely look into that race. Thank you for the heads up. Really do appreciate it. We'll be right back with more news. Okay, everybody, we've got a little bit of time. Let's talk about a topic we have not spoken about in a little bit. A sheriff in Texas has now certified that the migrants that Ron DeSantis decided to pick up in Texas and fly to Martha's Vineyards are crime victims. And that is important for a number of reasons, as we're gonna get into. So he certified the nearly 50 migrants that have been flown as victims of a crime. This is a key step in qualifying them for a special visa that they would not otherwise have been eligible for. And importantly, they want some or all of these migrants, whoever's willing, to be witnesses in a criminal investigation. Thus, they need the visas, thus the certification. They go on to say these certifications will ensure that the migrants can continue to help our law enforcement officials and that there will be a process and heal from the incredibly traumatic experiences they've suffered as a result of the cruel, heartless acts committed against them. Many of the migrants, I will remind you, if you have not been following this story, had come to the United States seeking asylum. They wanted a better life. They wanted to be safe. They wanted their families to be safe. They wanted to be able to work and contribute. And the idea that they were turned into political weapons by Ron DeSantis, who he and his team never saw a single one of them as a human being, never cared at all about where they were coming from, what life they wanted to lead, what they might be able to contribute to a community or to the United States at large. They never cared, and it's just so sickening. And thankfully, he himself is also being investigated. This is a different investigation, but he's under investigation on whether he misused taxpayer dollars to do these flights. The Treasury Department is looking into that. They're specifically looking on whether he used the interest on funds from the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds to do this. They're, of course, not supposed to use it for this sort of purpose. Anyway, Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm all in favor of any effort to investigate DeSantis and to punish him for any illegal use of funds. I've also said it from the beginning that I don't see the busing or flying of these migrants as horrendous and cruel as a lot of people see it as. I thought from the first minute that of all the horrible actions, this one actually most likely would protect those migrants. Like now they're getting extra protection for being witness to this crime, and there are 50 migrants that actually might be in the end treated better than the hundreds of thousands that are coming here without any heart. And I do wish that the one part of while you certainly should never use people as political pawns, and I do agree that DeSantis doesn't see them as human beings. I don't think there is anything that wrong with asking it should be coordinated, but with asking other states to share in the burden of that and to be aware of what it takes to truly house and take care of these people that are coming here for a better life. If for no other reason, then it should expedite us finally making change to our immigration policies that have not changed in over 30 years. If we truly care about it, we shouldn't just care about punishing DeSantis for making a spectacle of these 50 people. We should care about changing the system so that the millions who are coming here have a chance at actually, and who are already here, have a chance at gaining citizenship, at getting their asylum hearings to happen faster. And if this can shine a light on that, I don't think it's a net negative in the end. And maybe you get the bonus of DeSantis being punished for being sloppy with the way in which he did it.
I think that is perfectly fair. I think that we should have a system like that. Of course, that's not what DeSantis is working towards, but you're right. Maybe some people can use this as a springboard towards making that sort of change, and maybe you can get some Republicans actually on board. God only knows what else would be attached to it. But anyway, with that said, we need to jump into our last topic. Let's go to that as soon as we can. Throughout this week, John Fetterman has been the target of a disgusting smear campaign of some people trying to obfuscate what his challenges following from his stroke actually are, implying that his need to occasionally use a voice-to-text program, they're like conflating it with not understanding language. Some of them go way further than that. Tucker Carlson is implying that he is now a transhumanist cyborg or something. But that was earlier this week. And there's been a lot of strike back against that. So it would be weird to jump into that at this late date, but that's what Meghan McCain is choosing to do. She decided to tweet out, "This is insane. How can someone be a senator without being able to speak or understand small talk?" So He can speak perfectly fine, as anyone would know if they'd watched even 2 seconds of the interview. So she looks like a clown for not understanding that. But more importantly, to say that you specifically need to be able to engage in small talk to be a politician that's ridiculous, but that's what she's doing. And of course, there's the added layer of the fact that, as she will be quick to remind you, she's the adult daughter of the now passed John McCain, who had a brain glioblastoma while he was serving as a US senator, obviously suffered from disability as a result of that, as well as the torture he'd experienced earlier in his life. He literally died as a senator. So you would think that if anyone was going to be like possessing of at least a little bit of empathy when it comes to someone who is recovering from an illness, that it might be her, but of course not. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, this again is Meghan McCain missing the mark completely. I still do feel somewhat responsible for being partially responsible for training her to host television back. And that is part of what probably helped her get the job at The View, that raised her public profile. She is a good person at heart, and she is a lot more open-minded, I think, than a lot of Republicans are these days. But she comes out with these bad takes all the time. It doesn't make sense. And this is not to be insulting to her father, but it's literally the same statement as her if somebody said to her father, how can you be in the Senate if you can't go up high to give high fives to people after votes? I mean, his arms only lift a certain amount. It just doesn't make sense. It has nothing to do with his ability to serve as a senator, although I do think the Fetterman campaign should be doing a better job of explaining, not just, oh, I will be better come January, but say, we already have express permission that in Congress, everything will be captioned for me live. I'll be able to respond and see all of the pertinent hearings, and all of the pertinent meetings will be, and committee hearings will be all transcribed, so there will be no issue. They're kind of leaving that a little bit as a gray area, which is an unnecessary window to leave that can be exploited by their opponents.
Yeah, I get what you're saying in terms of the perception. I would say if I were, the Senate, like if I was in charge of the Senate, I would be making clear that we have accommodations ready to go. You may not have a lot of people who are immediately post-stroke running for office, but what are we supposed to believe, that if someone who is deaf got elected, just S out of luck? We can't do anything for you. I guess you can't. I mean, that's crazy. Like, people have disabilities. There need to be accommodations for that. There's literally federal laws requiring those accommodations. So I agree with you that they have to handle it as best as they can. But people telling things that they know are lies that have already been debunked, that can't stand. Anyway, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for our first hour. There's a lot more show to come, including the throwing away of the garbage people of the week. So don't go anywhere. Ben and I will be right back. Welcome to the Aftermath, everybody, with me, John Iadarola, and Ben Gleib, the Mad King himself. Ben, thank you again for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
My pleasure, John. And
everyone watching, Mad King is available literally right now. Don't go watch it literally right now, but as soon as this show is over, then you can go watch it. And you should be checking to see if Ben's doing live performances in your local area. And even if he's not, he does do worldwide virtual appearances, so everyone should check that out as well.
Thank you.
With all that said, we're gonna be jumping into just a couple of topics before we throw away our garbage people, and that is coming up very soon. Let's see, I do want to read a few of your comments, including from Bills Dragons Circles the Wagons, says, I'd rather pay more than less for vasectomy, don't want discount healthcare for my main member. Jesus. Okay, Ilya Bear has been a member for 18 months, says John and Yaz was actually on the watch list today. But thank you for watching and for the emojis, much appreciated. Ruku Dragon has been a member for 8 months, says retired US military and live in Japan. My son is working in a bank here, 28 days paid leave, pay government medical insurance, and they have paid maternity leave. He's 22. That does sound pretty good. We can't afford it though, sorry, we can't afford it. We can afford to have a bigger military than the next couple dozen countries put together, whatever, but we can't afford that. Anyway, May Money to Building says, don't trade me, John. I'll trade another 10 people to not be traded. Deal? That's fair. Also, do you still have that dragon bong? I do. Thank you again. And May Money says, what's up, Ben?
What's up to you from the Dolphin Dragon?
Meaning the Singing Dragon says that NBC reporter suggesting he might not have been understanding her before the interview was so gross. Well, look, I actually, for me, I wasn't as mad at the reporter, because she actually said without captions. It was the people who took that and intentionally stripped out the without captions to make it seem as if a linguistic issue was a cognitive issue. That's the thing that bothered me the most. But anyway, now it's just a part of the race, I guess. Okay, with that said, why don't we move into a topic in which I might have to provide a little bit of credit to someone who doesn't often deserve any here. A little bit. You'll see. Let's jump into this video.
Well, thanks, Stephen. I do want to say this too. We put this up on the War Room Square on MyPillow.com. We put up all the pillows, the Bible pillows we're giving out today, and the My Pillows and the blankets, so they can get themselves one and help support everything today using that promo code War Room. We appreciate everything you guys do.
So of course, many people in Florida have been absolutely devastated by the hurricane that swept through the state. Lots of people have lost literally everything. Their homes are destroyed, their possessions are destroyed, businesses that they owned or worked for might be destroyed, and they desperately need help. But is this the type? I don't know. Let's talk about what Mike Lindell is doing. He flew over to Florida and he brought blankets, which sounds good, and pillows. Of course, they're his pillows or my pillow. He brought over 12,000 items to Florida. That's over 7,000 My Pillows, over 2,500 Bible pillows, and 2,500 blankets, okay? So let's do a little close up on one of those Bible pillows. I think it's actually kind of cute. I don't necessarily want that to be the thing that's handed out, but it looks a little bit like the Lion King almost. And of course, he does that, and then he's calling into right-wing media shows in front of destroyed homes. So there's a PR component to it, but he is spending money to give out things to people in Florida. So I'm a little bit torn, Ben. What do you think?
Yeah, this is one of those kind of on the line. I mean, of course, anything Mike Lindell does is gonna be self-serving, but if it can also provide 12,000 pillows and thousands of blankets to people in need, okay, and he shared his own promo code there, but supposedly from what he said, a part of all those purchases will also go to the relief effort. So this is the one area maybe you can sort of excuse him. He did very quickly plug his products while in front of the destroyed home. He was like, you can get mypillow.com. Anyway, it's really sad what's happening here. I just also welcome anything that distracts him from pretending like he has smoking gun evidence for fraud in the 2020 election and continues to actively tear down our democracy one pillow at a time. So this is welcome. If there's evil people we have to deal with, the more we can diffuse them with helping in the aftermath of tragedies, the better. for all of us.
Yeah, and as you identified, anything he does is going to be self-serving. So let's just have the best thing that's self-serving out of the options. It's all going to be bad, but this is, as far as we know, there might be new details that I don't know about. It's better than him having another one of his like cyber ninja meetups or whatever. It's better than some of those things. It's better than whatever was going on at that fast food restaurant that he was at and he was messing with people. Anyway, this is better than that. They're all self-promoters. Like lots of politicians obviously love to like immediately head to a disaster site, take a couple of photos and then leave. Ron DeSantis likes to do it with knee-high white boots. They all do it. Bringing the actual stuff, that's the thing that might help a little bit. And look, I gotta admit, as an atheist, I don't love the shoving the Bible imagery into many people's faces who they and their kids are not Christians. But he's providing them. I guess he gets to put whatever propaganda he wants on the pillows. So anyway, I'm curious what people out there think. Scale of 1 to 10, how much credit do you give to Mike Lindell for our current understanding of this? We'll see if anything else comes out about it, but how much, if any, credit does he deserve?
Also, if there's ever a time to not be too worried about people handing out Bible pillows, it's in the aftermath of seeing some of what the God they believe in has done to them. I don't know if they're going to be getting a ton of new signups just on account of a cool picture on a pillow. In a related story, Governor Desantis is donating one pair of never been blemished white boots. If anybody's interested in wading into the water, he's got them.
You know, that's a good idea. He should have, like, in response to all the criticism, he should have said, yeah, I did look pretty ridiculous, but we got to help people. So I'm going to be auctioning off these ridiculous white boots and all the proceeds go to helping people. That would have been a good idea. He should have done that.
Yeah, this reminds me of when I was a young child and I entered a talent show and recreated Pee Wee Herman's tequila dance and borrowed my mom's white boots. And people thought I looked very stupid. I felt less silly as a 7-year-old boy wearing white boots than Ron DeSantis should have now. So there's that.
Yeah, I wish that was filmed because that's a difficult dance. Okay, if you pulled it off, then you deserve credit. Anyway,
I do have a photo I can show on a future TDR.
I want to see that. I love that movie growing up, honestly. By the way, people are asking, did he stand in a crowd of people whose lives have been ruined and throw the pillows like Trump with the paper towels? No word on that yet. We don't know. Anyway, with that, Skittlebutt Dragon Rasp says Ron was trying to turn Tucker on because remember Tucker Carlson, anytime a cartoon Eminem's shoes change, he loses his mind. Anyway, I condemn you, Skittlebutt. Okay, with that said, why don't we jump into another topic? We know that misinformation is everywhere. Well, it turns out that everyone pretty much agrees that it's a bad thing. Not every group equally, but everybody seems to understand that it's not good. I want to jump into the details of a new poll that was just released. About 3/4 of adults say that misinformation increases hate crimes, extreme political views, and about half believe that it increases political engagement, which I guess that's mostly good, but also decreases trust in government. That was half of everyone. 91% say that it's a problem. 74% say it's a major problem. Nearly 3/4 of adults are at least somewhat concerned that they have been personally exposed to misinformation. So we've gotten that truth to 3/4 of Americans. The last fourth is gonna have to learn on their own schedule, I guess. By the way, big majorities of both parties, 80% of Democrats, 70% of Republicans say that misinformation increases extreme political views. And so they do, even Republicans believe that misinformation can lead to violence based on gender, religion, or race. And that's progress. Now, what they would support being done to stop the spread of misinformation, what they would accurately identify as misinformation, I can't say for any particular person. Everybody seems to understand that their sources are unimpeachable. But I do at least like that we have broad consensus that this is out there and that it's a major problem, and it's a problem that has sometimes lethal consequences. Ben, what do you think?
Trying my best to put out of my mind the problem I have with a poll about misinformation. being accurate. Who knows? Who knows if that can even be trusted? But assuming it can be, it does not, I don't think, speak that well to people, because 77% saying misinformation increases hate crimes. That number should not only be 100%. It doesn't even make, they're basically saying, oh, it increases hate crimes based on false information. But there should be a base level of hate crime based on accurate information about these groups of people. No, there should be no hate crimes, and all of them are committed based on misinformation and AKA false beliefs about groups of people that you are trying to use as scapegoats for your own problems. So I don't know people's opinion. It almost seems like they can justify. Well, sure, there's hate crimes because we're not getting good data. So we're
people just need better sources.
Yeah, exactly 100%. Right. Not ideal.
Well, look, there is this connection, and we wanted to make sure that people understood it. Not specifically about any particular piece of misinformation, but it is out there, and the hate crimes are there's been a lot in the especially in the last few years, especially against certain populations. By the way, FBI apparently just stopped 2 men in Missouri who were plotting to kill migrants at the Texas border. These guys decided to broadcast their plans on TikTok. And look, I get it. Everybody wants a following. But I feel like that was a bad call. I think that when you say that you're gonna go and kill a bunch of people, that might raise a few red flags. And so this is, I'm not gonna get into the individual people. You can find out more about them. I don't want to encourage copycats or whatever. Anyway, one was charged with 3 counts of making a threat over the phone, unlawfully possessing a firearm, and shooting at federal officials. Jesus. By the way, I want to get to some of what they had to say about this. One says, I am probably the only one right now that is ready to go to war against this government. And I don't mean just talk about it. I mean, grab my rifle and go to DC and take this country back physically, not sit in a basement and talk about it. Other videos discuss traveling with a group to the US border to shoot migrants. One says, I know I'm already practically a terrorist. I know that for a fact because I'm a patriot. I don't expect a good outcome from us going down there. It'll be kill or be killed. So there's this weird actual ability to do some self-analysis. I don't think this is gonna go well, but I already bought my vest, so I think I'm just gonna do it. And I'm going to broadcast to the FBI and law enforcement that I'm going to do it. The whole thing is a disgusting mess. And of course, the issue isn't that they were caught. Good job by the FBI for tracking them down. It's that I don't think we've gotten everyone who wants to do this sort of thing. Others are out there and they're believing conspiracy theories like the Great Replacement theory, like the stuff about the caravans and Jewish people who control the movement of migrants and everything. That has already resulted in mass shootings. It almost certainly will in the future. It's a massive problem. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, the lack of self-awareness and of laws of people to be broadcasting their crimes on social media is amazing. I did one of my Rebel HQ videos about 2-3 weeks ago, was called TikToker Commits Sedition live on TikTok. This old man that literally live on TikTok was saying, or uploaded video on TikTok was saying, who's gonna go with me and take back our government? Enough of this, we need to get into that house, but this time really take it. I mean, they think that they are doing something wonderful, and the term patriot now has been so bastardized that people think you're a patriot by going against the government of the United
100%.
States of America. I mean, words are completely upside down.
Yeah, 100%. Thankfully, there are at least some people watching. I mean, you got that one guy and the FBI got these, but yeah, it's out there. It's out there. Okay, with that said, I believe it's time for us to do our chores. Ashley, you wanna give me a signal when we're ready to go? Oh, we are ready to go, okay. It's the end of the week, and so it's time to take out the trash. Okay, I very carefully avoided finding out who Ben's garbage person was. Ben, who is your garbage person of the week?
I very carefully avoided telling you, John. I emailed your entire team and circumvented you for this very exciting moment. My garbage person of the week is thankfully former LA City Council member Nuri Martinez, who got in very hot, very deserved water for an audio recording that came out of her being incredibly racist and derogatory towards Black people, towards Jews, towards Armenians, towards many Watkins, towards many groups of people, and did resign. The two lawmakers that were caught on tape with her have not yet resigned, and so we are waiting to hear about that. But she gets the extra garbage tip of my hat for
tip of your can.
The tip of my can, exactly. Spill a little garbage out for our lost LA City Council member, Homie. Thank you very much for in her speech announcing that she was resigning from office, said, "I hope I've inspired all little Latina girls across the city to dream beyond that which you can see." I hope she has not inspired future racist Latina girls to come and become lawmakers and oppress other groups. The hubris and lack of self-awareness for that move is just next level. She gets to be the lining at the very bottom of the garbage can with all garbage juices being poured upon her. Congratulations.
Yeah, I love it. Like, to be able to think beyond what you can see or hear on leaked audio of me saying racist things. Yeah, I would hope that you could look beyond that too if I had done something like that. Yeah, by the way, so much credit to those who had a sustained campaign to get her to resign. Obviously, initially she sort of waited, and then she resigned from the leadership position, but not from office. And if people had just moved on, then that would have been it. She would still be in office now, but they did not accept that. They continued to pressure her and got the outcome that they wanted, at least in regards to her. As you point out, others still in office, the campaign continues, but you're totally right. Garbage person, great pick.
Thank you.
My garbage person of the week is really a group, but I am gonna choose one person as a representative of it. It is going to be Ted Cruz. And really it's for the people who willingly accept complete misinformation and then refuse not to learn from it. So Ted Cruz, he tweeted out a tweet that said the left is beyond parody in a screenshot of an Atlantic article saying the evolution of white supremacy, basically saying that if Muslims don't want pornography taught to their kids and they're white supremacists, and like it's a whole big mishmash, supposedly written by Abby Olheiser. The issue is that article is not real. I don't mean that his interpretation is wrong. I mean, it doesn't exist. It was made up. It's a photoshopped article, and he was so incensed by this that he had to tweet about it. He just wasn't incensed enough about it to actually like look for the article and read or anything. And as a result of that, what do you think happened in 2022? Abby Olheiser, who is an actual person, if not the editor of that article, has received a ton of hate messages and all of that. She tweeted, "It's for sure good and normal to wake up to DMs calling you a groomer because some MAGA S poster photoshopped your byline onto a fake article for a publication you haven't worked for in a decade." And we have some examples of people who were so frustrated by what she has already identified as a fake article. That is what these people are replying to. One person, "I believe the article to be real." It's not, but they're pressing on with their life. "Yeah, but you know, it has a truthiness to it, but it rings true, does it? It has all the earmarks of an article you would have written." Or how about "Jew is whiny news at 11." She's the victim of a complete and utter lie. These people know that and are giving her more hate. She already received tons of hate just based on the Photoshop. Now, in response to her identifying it, they're attacking her, putting the crazier thing is your articles are so bad, people could think the fake ones are real, or calling her a clown when she has done literally nothing wrong. The issue with these people is that at the end of the day, they don't care whether it's real. They're not interested. They weren't incensed by it because they thought it was real. They just want to be mad. They want to hate her and the groomers or whatever. They're not interested in whether it's real. I can actually prove it. She was responded to by Herb Brooks, who says, "This you," with a screenshot of a different article that she wrote called "In Defense of Naked Joe Biden." So the idea there is that we don't have to listen to her identifying that she is a victim because she's written clownish articles in the past. Except she didn't write that one either. That's a Photoshop too. That is a real article, by the way. It was written by Connor Friedersdorf, who is a civil libertarian writer. But because he's a right winger, they Photoshop out his name and put her name in. So this guy responded to her complaining about harassment from people willingly spreading a fake article by spreading another fake article. And when Ted Cruz had it pointed out to him that it was fake, he eventually deleted the tweet and then didn't say anything for literally hours. And then in the end proved no better than any of these randos online, tweeting, didn't know it was fake. You guys are so insane. It could easily have been real, but it wasn't. And so I deleted the tweet as soon as I found out. No, you did not, okay? It took you a long time and a longer time to make this statement. And you are the problem. Your credulous acceptance of insanity is the issue. But the only thing he wants to reassure us is not that he's worried about the harassment he sent to this author. He doesn't apologize for that. If she got death threats or rape threats, he's not apologizing for that. He wants you to know that he is right to have spread it because we're all crazy. So it doesn't matter. He is assuring us he will learn nothing from this. There will be no evolution, just to be clear about that. Super fast. Unfortunately, we're very low on time, Ben, but what do you think?
I mean, unreal. And while we certainly have an over jailing problem in this country, I would be in favor of going to the homes of people who tweet replies like, I believe the article to be real, when you can't find the article, or it sounds real, so I'm cool with it. Putting those people immediately in jail. You said you believe an article that you know is not correct. That's jail for you to think about what you've done, or at least a very special place in hell. It reminds me of the just lack of thought processes on the right these days, like a tweet I saw this morning from Jim Jordan that said, when is the Jan 6 committee gonna finally tackle gas prices and inflation? Which I had to say, it's the Jan 6 committee, not the inflation committee, you dunk brain.
When is the NFL gonna start competitive skating? Probably not soon. They've got other stuff that they're working on. Yeah, no, I hate, look, Ted Cruz doesn't care any more than those other people do. They're not interested in what's true and what's not. That is a difficult thing to truly accept. I know that people like casually accept it, but to actually integrate it into your worldview, that the people that disagree with us do not care whether things are true or not, is significant. And with that said, those are our garbage people of the week, but 61,000 of you voted. Jesus, and here's your top 5 for this week. Coming in at number 5 with 5% of the vote is LA Council member Nury Martinez. So a little bit of an overlap with Ben Gleib there. Coming in number 2 with 8% of the vote is Tulsi Gabbard for obvious departure of the Democratic Party. Poor Tulsi Gabbard, even in doing this, she couldn't merit the top of our poll. Oh well. Number 3 with 11% of the vote is Tommy Tuberville for his racist rant on reparations. That was disgusting. Coming in number 2, your runner-up with 21% of the vote is Kanye West. No explanation needed. I think we all understand a few reasons. But no, 55% of the vote and your community garbage person of the week is Vladimir Putin for the missile strikes against Ukraine that intentionally targeted and killed civilians. Can't really disagree with that. Normally, we don't put people on this list who've done objectively murderous things, but once they're on the list, I guess, yeah, you kind of gotta vote for them. Thank you to all of you who voted, really do appreciate it. Thank you for watching throughout this week, and thank you especially to Ben Gleib for joining us on today's show. Thank you so much. Where can people see more of your work?
My pleasure. Follow me at Ben Gleib on Twitter, YouTube, or B Gleib on YouTube, Twitter, Ben Gleib, Instagram, and TikTok. My link in bio there is links to my Rebel HQ series, to my virtual Halloween show on the 29th, to my special, The Mad King on YouTube, all of that stuff. Thank you for having me, and I have to go now and lace up my ice skates. I've got football practice.
Nice. Thank you everybody for watching throughout the week. Indisputable's up next. Jessica Burbank and Rick Strom are gonna be live, so don't go anywhere. For now though, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and I'll see you soon.